What if I told you that the girl who's been acting like the future CEO of Hollywood just had the biggest meltdown of her life? And it all happened right under Kim Kardashian's nose. No paparazzi needed. No Hulu cameras required. Just chaos, tears, and a whole lot of, "Mom, this is your fault," because apparently, Northwest just lost it all. And when I say lost it all, I don't mean a toy, a TikTok password, or another pair of Yeezy Crocs. I mean her entire public image, her little empire, and whatever was left of Kim's sanity. And the wild part? Kim Kardashian is suddenly emotional, like actually emotional, not the staged cry with a ring light on kind. The internet is saying Kim finally cracked after North confronted her in a way no Kardashian child has ever dared before. The girl who roasted paparazzi at age 5. The girl who told Kim's assistant to go home because she didn't need help. The girl whose confidence is louder than Kanye on a live rant. Apparently snapped. So now the question is, what pushed North to her breaking point? What did Kim try to control that finally blew up in her face? And why is the internet saying this might be the beginning of Kim's downfall, dragged by her own daughter? The story really starts a few weeks before the internet caught wind of anything, because insiders say things inside the Kardashian mansion had already been crumbling long before North's public explosio. And if you've been paying attention, you could see it in every clipped interaction, every awkward TikTok, every forced mother-daughter moment Kim tried to sell to the world. The vibe was off, the energy was weird, and North wasn't hiding it anymore. According to one insider, and by insider, I mean someone who claims they once delivered a pizza to the Hidden Hills gate and overheard security complaining, North had been dramatically unhappy for months, apparently. The kid who grew up surrounded by cameras suddenly didn't want cameras anywhere near her, which is ironic because Kim Kardashian practically built her entire empire on keeping cameras exactly where they shouldn't be, but the first major crack came during what should have been a simple, content day for Kim. You know how Kim loves her relatable mom moments she posts for the algorithm? Well, apparently she tried filming a cute little morning routine with North, brushing hair, matching outfits, the usual curated chaos. But instead of cooperating, North reportedly stopped mid-shot and said, loud enough for the whole room to hear, "I'm not doing this fake stuff today." And according to 2 anonymous crew members, the room went silent. Kim stood frozen with a hairbrush midair while the cinematographer tried not to choke on his cold brew. Because never, and I mean never, had North publicly defied Kim while cameras were rolling. Even producers claimed the tension was so thick they could have sliced it with the same knife Kanye used to carve his Yeezy prototypes. Kim tried to brush it off, obviously. She laughed, made a cute "kids will be kids" comment, and tried to reset the shot. But North wasn't budging. One source said North walked off saying, "Why do you always have to make everything look perfect when it's not?" And that one sentence hit harder than every clip of Kim crying over her diamond earring combined. Because suddenly, it wasn't the internet calling Kim out, it was her own daughter, but things didn't stop there. Apparently, Kim's team started noticing North becoming more withdrawn, more private, more irritated with the entire celebrity ecosystem she was born into. She stopped wanting to film TikToks. She refused to participate in certain scenes for the Hulu show. She even told producers she wasn't a character for their storyline, and the wildest part? She supposedly told a nanny she wanted to be a normal kid for once, something about that hit Kim like a truck. Because her entire identity, the brand, the fame, the legacy, all depend on keeping up appearances. And North wanting out? That was the ultimate threat. But hold on, because this wasn't even the main explosion. The real scandal started when Kim was preparing for a major Skims campaign reveal. You know Kim, she'll walk through fire, a hurricane, and a global pandemic as long as she gets a good campaign shot. And this time, she wanted North to be part of it, a mother-daughter moment to rebrand the public's perception of her after months of criticism about parenting. But North wasn't having it. In fact, she went off. According to a stylist on set, North straight up said, "I'm not your prop," and refused to wear the outfit Kim picked. Kim tried bargaining, bribing, and even doing the classic Kardashian guilt speech, but North dug her heels in and refused. That's when things reportedly escalated. Kim attempted to have the team bring in backup outfits, more glam, snacks, anything to calm North, but the more Kim tried, the angrier North became. And then, the moment that blew everything open, North allegedly stormed out of the room, walked straight into the hallway, and screamed, "I don't want to be in your business anymore." The entire house heard her. Security heard her. A chef heard her. Someone watering the imported eucalyptus plants outside heard her. And according to insiders, Kim was devastated, but the internet didn't find out about this meltdown until days later when fans noticed something strange. Kim suddenly unfollowed a bunch of North fan accounts on Instagram. Several of those pages posted cryptic messages about not being allowed to upload North's content anymore. One account even wrote, "It's bigger than you think. Pray for the family." And that was enough for the internet detectives to activate. Fans started digging through old videos, analyzing body language, zooming into screenshots like they were studying the Zapruder film. They started pointing out how uncomfortable North looked in recent clips, how tense Kim seemed, how forced every interaction was. Then the rumors started blowing up. One side said North was becoming too much like Kanye, outspoken and unfiltered, and Kim couldn't handle it. Another group claimed Kim was trying to force North into the spotlight while she was crying for privacy. And a third group, the messiest ones, said North had discovered something in Kim's phone that triggered the entire explosion. Now, obviously, no one knows for sure what North supposedly saw, but people online started making wild speculations. Some claimed North found old footage of Kim planning a storyline for the show. Some claimed she discovered conversations about her future brand deals. And some claimed she found messages where Kim was venting about parenting struggles. Whatever it was, the story caught fire so fast Kim's PR team couldn't put it out in time, but fans didn't stop there. They started comparing recent clips of Kim and North to older ones. And it became painfully obvious that something had shifted. The adorable mother-daughter duo who used to do makeup tutorials together didn't look the same anymore. North looked annoyed in nearly every shot. Kim looked on edge, like she was performing motherhood rather than experiencing it. And people noticed. Then came the TikTok theories. You know Gen Z, give them a 6-second clip and they'll give you a dissertation. One viral TikTok claimed North had been emotionally distancing herself from her mother since late summer. Another said North wanted to live with Kanye full-time. Another claimed Kim was prepping North to be the next generation's Kris Jenner experiment, and North snapped because she realized it. But the theory that really blew up, the one claiming North lost it all because Kim took away her creative control. Apparently, North had started designing her own clothes and wanted the freedom to build her own style without Kim's involvement. But Kim allegedly tried to guide the brand direction, and North wasn't having it. One TikToker even claimed North herself had said, "I don't want to be Kim 2.0, I want to be me." Now normally, Kim would handle a PR crisis like this with ease. She survived scandals, lawsuits, marriages, divorces, and the entire era where influencers exposed Facetune with one swipe. But this time, the narrative wasn't about Kim versus some ex, some stylist, some random influencer. This time, it was Kim versus her own daughter. And no amount of PR magic can spin that cleanly. Kim tried to fix things fast. She posted cute photos of North baking. She posted videos of them singing together. She even posted a mother-daughter selfie with a heart emoji. The digital version of "See, everything is fine," but the internet wasn't convinced. The smiles looked forced. The videos looked edited. The energy felt off. And fans started accusing Kim of damage control. And then, just when everyone thought things couldn't get messier, the biggest bombshell dropped, the one that pushed North over the edge and set the stage for the emotional blowout that would break Kim on camera. And that's where everything snapped. Not gently, not quietly, but in pure Kardashian fashion, loud, chaotic, and broadcast to millions by accident. Because the moment North poured that penthouse smoothie onto the marble floor and screamed, all of this doesn't make me happy. Some brave soul on Kim's payroll forgot to mute the live stream. Yup, millions of people watched the billionaire meltdown of the decade happen in real time. At first, viewers thought it was a prank, or a skit, or some Kardashian-approved PR plot twist. But then Kim's voice cracked, not the cute, memeable baby crack she does for the camera. No, this was the real crack. The kind of crack that comes from a mother realizing her child just publicly annihilated her entire brand in under 60 seconds. But this wasn't just a tantrum. Oh no, this was the beginning of what insiders are calling the Northwest collapse. A collapse so major that even Kris Jenner reportedly slammed her phone on the table and said, "Not today. Absolutely not today. We are not doing another Kylie-level crisis in Q4 because, according to new leaked internal reports, the kind only anonymous assistants whisper, while hiding behind ring lights, this meltdown wasn't a one-off. It was just the tip of the iceberg. Apparently, North has been spiraling for weeks. And not in the normal rich kid way, where they buy a pet tiger or set a yacht on fire. No, this was deeper. This was psychological. The collapse of a Kardashian dynasty aired in real time. One anonymous nanny, who claims she lasted only 7 hours in the West household, says North has been having creative explosions, a term she invented because calling them tantrums felt legally risky. She said North has been destroying expensive studio equipment, ripping up couture outfits, and even throwing away brand new custom Balenciaga boots because they didn't feel like her anymore. Another insider claimed that North recently stood in the middle of the estate driveway yelling, "I don't want to be a mini version of anyone. I don't want to be next in line for a legacy I didn't ask for." Strong words for an 11-year-old. But hey, this is the Kardashian universe. Children don't just have feelings, they have plot lines. Public reactions were brutal. TikTok turned it into a challenge, the Lose It Like North challenge, where kids dramatically throw away random expensive items and scream into a camera. Celebrities started weighing in. Even Wendy Williams, who has been quiet since forever, allegedly sent a voice note saying, "Child, tell that little girl to sit down before she starts a civil war." But the real shockwave came when a different clip leaked the moment Kim walked into North's destroyed room. Clothes everywhere, shoes everywhere, a broken tablet, paint smeared across a $4 million custom mural, and North sitting in the center of the chaos, whispering to herself. Kim's voice trembled as she tried to keep calm. "North, baby, what is this?" North looked up with a face that was too calm to still, and said, "I don't want any of this anymore." Those 7 words broke the internet harder than Kim's Paper magazine cover because people weren't just reacting, they were investigating. Oh yes, Reddit went feral. Twitter X went into detective mode. Pop culture podcasts started emergency live streams. Theories grew like wildfire. Was North rejecting fame? Was she rebelling against the Kardashian machine? Was this the beginning of a new documentary? Or was this all PR for Kim's new show Motherhood Unfiltered? But then the next leak dropped, and this one changed everything. A supposed email from North's personal therapist surfaced, though let's be honest. In that family, therapists have NDA letters stronger than the nuclear codes. The email, titled North's recent behavioral concerns, detailed anxiety, pressure, emotional overload, and a developing fear of losing control over her own identity. The world gasped. Fans started demanding the Kardashians leave North alone and stop turning her into a content machine. But wait, the meltdown had just begun, because next came the financial correction in the Kardashian world. A financial correction is not what normal people experience. We lose $20 and cry. They lose $200,000 and call it Tuesday. But North? North didn't lose $20 or $200,000. North lost everything she owned under her LLC, according to a leaked internal document. North's trust accounts have been shifted into temporary legal hold due to mismanagement of funds. And what does mismanagement mean for a child billionaire? Well, it means the 47% share she allegedly had in a clothing line, a music line, and a cosmetics mini brand was temporarily frozen. Millions frozen, assets frozen, partnerships frozen. All because of one viral outburst that sent sponsors scrambling, allegedly. One company executive screamed during a Zoom call, "We cannot market lip gloss with a child who just burned a wardrobe on camera." Another leaked text messages showed a manager telling Kim, "We need to limit North's social appearances until further notice." That phrase alone made fans furious, because it sounded less like concern and more like a corporation trying to silence an 11-year-old. Now here's where it gets even darker. Sources say Kim tried to sit North down for a heart-to-heart. Not a scripted cut heart-to-heart, but a real one. But the moment Kim started talking about reputation and brand alignment, North allegedly said, "Whose brand? Yours or mine? Because I didn't choose any of this." Kim froze. People close to her say she has never looked more shocked. Not when Kanye interrupted Taylor Swift. Not when Tristan filed another apology statement. Not even when Rob tried to start a sock empire. But North wasn't done. She walked over to a giant pile of luxury makeup Kim had gifted her and said, "None of this matters." Then she pushed the entire table over. Foundation exploded everywhere like a chemical lab accident. The clip resurfaced online with the caption, "This is the moment North West stopped being a Kardashian and started being herself." From there, the internet split into Team North, "Let this child be free." Team Kim, "She's a kid being dramatic." Relax. Team Conspiracy, "This is PR for something bigger." Meanwhile, legal insiders said Kim immediately contacted financial advisors to stabilize North's accounts. But the damage was done. Sponsors pulled out. Brand deals paused. Co-branding discussions vanished. Even her upcoming toy line allegedly got put on emergency review because the board was scared the meltdown might reflect long-term instability. Now here's where everything ties back. The meltdown wasn't just emotional. It turned into a full-blown financial and public identity collapse. The phrase trending worldwide by the end of the night? Northwest loses it all. But what people didn't know was that losing it all wasn't just a headline. It was actually happening behind the scenes, legally, financially, emotionally, socially. And this is exactly where the story sharpens into its next twist. The one that left PR teams fainting, Kris screaming into pillows, and Kim holding back tears on the kitchen floor because the fallout wasn't over. It was only beginning because the meltdown wasn't the final act, it was the spark that lit up the entire Hollywood skyline. By morning, every entertainment outlet, gossip page, parenting blog, political commentator, and confused middle-aged Facebook and had one question: what happens to Northwest now? And that's when the consequences phase swooped in, not slowly, not gently, but with the force of a Kardashian lawsuit. First came the corporate fallout. Brands that once begged for a collaboration with North suddenly backed away like she was holding a ticking bomb. One cosmetics company executive leaked a screenshot of their emergency statement meeting, where the CEO reportedly said, "If we launch a product with her right now, customers might think our highlighter causes existential crises." Highlighter causes existential crises. Another brand paused their entire campaign, claiming they needed to reevaluate business values and ethics. As if Hollywood has ever known what that word means. But the real earthquake hit when a supposedly confidential memo from the California Department of Child Talent Affairs leaked, a memo stating they were reviewing whether North's digital presence earnings and publicly broadcast emotional events constituted a potential case of exploitation. That's right. The state might get involved. Suddenly, the whole world started whispering the same terrifying phrase: is Kim Kardashian under investigation for exploiting her own daughter? Now, of course, Kim's team denied everything. They always do. Before the rumor even hit full speed, Kris Jenner was already crafting a counter-narrative strong enough to be taught in PR classes for the next 50 years. But damage control wasn't working this time. Because this wasn't a fake boyfriend scandal or a fashion mishap. This was a child having a public identity crisis, and the government potentially stepping in. But let's rewind. Because the moment the memo hit TMZ, TikTok detectives caught something huge. Under possible violations. The memo listed overexposure, emotional overburdening, early stage, profit dependency, unregulated brand, partnerships, questionable parental decision-making that lasto. Nay, it nearly broke Kim. A family source claims Kim sat down on her colossal cream-colored living room couch, put her face in her hands, and whispered, "I was just trying to give her the world." But according to an assistant who allegedly overheard the conversation, North snapped back, "I never asked for the world. I just asked for a childhood." Those words were so powerful, so painfully un-Kardashian, that the assistant claims the room fell silent. Even Kim didn't know what to say. For the first time, the world saw a glimpse of something the Kardashian empire had never shown: vulnerability without lighting, without edits, without a storyline. But vulnerability doesn't stop legal consequences, because next came the financial audit, apparently after North's assets were frozen. Several lawyers, concerned child advocates, allegedly stepped in and demanded a full review of how the money was being handled. And when lawyers start digging, they find things no one wants public. One leak claimed that a portion of North's brand earnings had been funneled into family investments, which, let's be honest, sounds suspiciously like we used the child's money to save Kourtney's vitamin company. Another leak claimed Kanye himself demanded an emergency meeting, screaming through the phone, "Stop using my daughter for your plot lines." Whether it happened or not, the internet believed it, and that alone fueled a storm that even Kris couldn't quiet. Then came the celebrity reactions. Cardi B went live and said, "A child breaking down is not entertainment." Yo, weird. Nicki Minaj tweeted, "Kids ain't accessories." Even Taylor Swift, who never comments on Kardashian drama unless the opportunity is chef's kiss, posted a vague quote about protecting innocence in a world built on exploitation, and fans instantly plastered Kim's face next to it. But the breaking point came when the hashtags began trending. Hashtag protect North, hashtag let North be AK, ID hashtag save North, West hashtag Kardashian accountability, and the worst one of all, hashtag remove North from the show for a family whose empire is built entirely on being on screen. That hashtag was basically a death sentence. Kim's reaction? Sources say she broke down, like full emotional collapse, in her private bathroom, whispering, "Everyone thinks I'm a bad mom." Insiders claim Khloe rushed over to comfort her, saying, "Kimmy, this isn't on you," but then accidentally made it worse by adding, "Well, not entirely on you." At the same time, North reportedly disappeared into her room, locking the door, refusing to film, refusing interviews, refusing fittings, refusing stylists, refusing everything. One assistant claimed North taped a handwritten sign on her bedroom door that said, "Do not enter, I'm being myself." Meanwhile, public pressure hit such an intense level that a child welfare panel allegedly reached out to the family requesting an informal meeting to discuss North's well-being and digital exposure. That alone triggered an internal earthquake in the Kardashian home. Because if there's one thing Kim Kardashian fears more than a lawsuit, more than a canceled sponsorship, more than a viral scandal, it's losing control of the narrative. So she did the unthinkable. She canceled filming for an entire weekend. No cameras, no glam, no PR strategy, no production crew, just Kim and North. According to a leaked voice memo, Kim sat on North's bed and said, "Tell me what you want." For real, no cameras, no brand deals, no pressure. What do you want? And North, exhausted, emotionally drained, still recovering from the collapse heard her on the world, said, "I want to start over. Without all of this. I want a clean slate." Kim blinked. A clean slate? In the Kardashian household? The family that hasn't had a single clean slate since 2007? But then North clarified, "I want to choose who I am, not who I'm supposed to be." And for once, Kim listened. Sources say she made a drastic decision, one that left Kris Jenner pacing in circles, screaming into her iPhone, "Kimberly, if you pull her from filming now, you're destroying a decade of branding." But Kim didn't budge, and in a move no one expected, Kim officially informed producers that North would be stepping back from public filming indefinitely. That word sent shockwaves across the industry. Fans rejoiced. Critics scoffed. Brands panicked. Podcast hosts popped champagne. And Kris took 2 extra Xanax. But stepping back from filming wasn't the end. It was the beginning of the real fallout, because now the government investigation was heating up. Sponsors were pushing for renegotiations. Lawyers were demanding answers. And family tensions were rising, especially after Kendall allegedly said, "Honestly, this is why I don't have kids," sparking a screaming match between her and Khloe. Meanwhile, North was quietly beginning her detox from fame. No cameras, no stylists, no PR messaging. Just silence, peace, a childhood. Finally, but behind the scenes, the Kardashian empire was cracking. Kim's emotional collapse became the new headline. Bills were piling. Contracts were shaking. And Kris was drafting emergency plans in her office like she was planning a military operation, because the real question wasn't what North wanted anymore. It was this. Can the Kardashian empire survive a child choosing to walk away from fame? And honestly, no one knows. Not the experts. Not the fans. Not Kim, not Kris, not even North. What we do know is that this scandal has already changed everything, legally, financially, publicly, emotionally, and the consequences. They're still unfolding, and now that the dust has settled, at least for today, you have to ask yourself, what did we just witness? Was this the downfall of a child star who never asked for the spotlight? A mother finally realizing the empire she built might be consuming her own daughter? Or is this just the first crack in a dynasty that has dominated pop culture for almost 2 decades? Because, make no mistake, this story isn't over. Not even close. The investigations are still active. The financial freeze is still in place. North's future is still uncertain. And Kim Kardashian? She's holding onto her family with one hand and her empire with the other. So I want to hear from you. Do you think North should walk away from the cameras forever? Did Kim push too far? Is the Kardashian machine finally showing its weakness? Or is this all just another chapter in the biggest reality saga of our generation? Drop your thoughts, theories, and wildest predictions in the comments, because trust me, the next twist is coming, and if you want the truth before the tabloids twist it, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because I'll be here exposing every layer of the next Hollywood earthquake the moment it breaks.